welcome to the 8th episode of Lighten Up with Leap, and we are back again with yet another interesting episode of our Women Achievers. There's usually a saying of behind every successful man there is a woman. But I believe that behind every successful woman there's definitely a man. Be it her father, be it her best friend, be it her husband, or in the case of our celebrity guest today, it's her brother. Even though this is a Women Achievers special, we have today amidst us the sister-brother duo, Ms. Ankita Rao and Mr. Anish Rao from Freeline Engineering Consultants. Ms. Ankita and Mr. Anish give us serious sibling goals. Suddenly thrown into the ocean, asked to manage a family-owned firm all by themselves, starting from being a team of 5, they've now grown up to be a team of 15 with 2 offices, one in Dubai and one in Abu Dhabi. In segment 1, Ankita and Anish tell us where this journey began, what challenges they faced, and how it has been possible for them to achieve what it is today. Let's begin. Good morning, Anish and Ankita. How are you both doing today?
Good morning. We're well. How are you?
Good morning.
All
Doing good.
well,
Thank you.
all well. Actually, I'll have to tell my viewers, I've already told them that usually this segment, this last 5 episodes of our season of Lighten Up with Leap, we promise to have women achievers. But today, it's a special surprise for all our guests that we have Anish also with you, because I am sure he's played a very important role in where you are today, Ankita. Yes or no?
Yeah, I think behind every successful woman also there needs to be a strong and a compassionate and a supportive man.
Yeah, beginning with segment 1, where it is break the ice. So how Freeline Engineering Consultants all started. So tell us more about both of you.
So Freeline Engineering was started by an uncle who was like a dad to us. So we had a very unique situation where we were raised by 3 parents. So we were a joint family,
right?
And following his untimely demise about 7.5 years back, so my brother and I we took over the company at that point. So we've been with Freeline since.
So Freeline Engineering Consultants, just to give you a bit of an idea of what we do, we're actually an architecture and engineering driven practice. So typically a client would come in and say, look, this is a plot of land that I have, and I want to build, let's say, a G+1 building, for example. So it is us that will then develop the plan. So we will develop all the floor plans, ground floor, first floor. We will develop the different disciplines, which is not just architecture but structure. Then MEP drawings also get developed, and of course we design the elevation, look and feel as well. So post that, we take the approvals, we help the client engage a contractor, we supervise the project, and then we assist the client till getting the completion. So in a sense, basically from the time a client decides that he wants to start doing a project, we are there from that time all the way till completion when the client is ready to start using that facility.
Since you've grown up to looking at how the business is, and then your uncle has been handling everything, what was the challenge that you guys faced when you took over the business?
I think with family businesses is, for better or for worse, you do get shielded from certain sections of, exposure. So, when those curtains are removed, when you're thrown in the ocean, all those curtains get removed. So there were so many facets of business, so many facets of the company that we ourselves had to discover. So, for us also, personally, even for me, I think the biggest challenge was to figure out what is the length and breadth of what the company stands for, right? So because we were also so much younger, and there is a shield around us. So I think for me also there were certain things that I was taking a little lightly as well. There were certain areas that I was a little ignorant of. So for me to kind of get acquainted with that length and breadth was also a big challenge. And again, I think that's what, and again, another thing that happened with us was at that point, we had a good pool of talent, but a lot of them didn't see, for reasons best known to them, they didn't see any merit in the company at that point. They thought we will probably not keep the company. So they started leaving. So we were downsized to a very small team when we took over.
I think we were like 5 at that point.
At
one point we reached just, so 2 of us, 2 managers and 1 more person, and that's it.
And an office boy, that's it. So we were just 5 of us. So we really had nothing to lose. So when we were looking at the half full glass rather than the half empty, so we were looking at it as if we have really nothing to lose here, right? We can just give, and there are these people who've shown conviction in us. They've still stayed back, they had so much more experience. Like our two managers, they've been with us since the day one of the company. So they decided to stay back, and despite all the challenges with finances and trying to build the company back, and so they must have seen some merit, we were hoping, at least in us or in the company. So I think that also gave us a big boost. So we just said, let's give it 1 year. We really have nothing to lose. Let's see what comes.
The sort of biggest challenge, I think, at least what I had faced, why are people going to want to come sign up with us when a 24-year-old is talking to them? I'm like, I'm a 24-year-old. This is like a 50, 60-year-old. He's like the head of his industry. He's looking to build maybe like a factory, which is like his fifth venture or something like that. Like, what is it going to be? I came up with a very simple solution. I was like, I'm just going to grow my beard. I was like, that's going to be the easiest to think I'm a little bit older. So I grew out a beard at that point. I started wearing specs at that point, even though I had no power. So it was like powerless specs at that point. And consequently, that made me look at least like I was in my 30s. So that made it a little bit easier. And then, of course, it was a very steep learning curve, right? So when you're thrown in the middle of the ocean without any floaters, that's in a sense how it happened for us, right? So we were either going to swim or we were going to drown.
Okay. I think tying into what Anish said also with, we also had commitments in terms of projects that we had taken up at that point, financial, we had a debt accumulating on the company as a, challenging situation. But apart from that, there were also clients who decided to stick with us as well. And they had, and we had commitments to them. And I think like what Anish was saying, like we're not people that will run away from commitments. It's a commitment that has been made. It has to be fulfilled. And it's not right that they should have to be in a lurch because of a situation that we are facing. It's not the client's problem, right? That we are facing this crisis in the company. They wanted, and that's a responsibility we felt, that we need to deliver on that commitment that was made to them.
Which was a commitment that was made by the company. It was not a commitment that was made by any individual, right? It doesn't matter who comes, who goes. At the end of the day, a company needs to still get through all these challenges, right? It's a company commitment.
And beyond that, I think we also, both of us jointly, felt a little bit of a weight of the legacy. So we felt responsible to be able to uphold that legacy, at least to the best. Even if we failed, right? It's fine. We tried our best. So that's the attitude we were going with. We'll do everything in our capacity to make this fly. But in the event, if we fail, we still learn something. There's still a win-win situation. Absolutely. But we tried our 100% over it. So that is the attitude that we kickstarted this journey at that point. And like I said, we had nothing to lose. So it was really nothing that could go more rock bottom than what we were sitting at. We were at a talent pool that was negligible, and we were at a company which had debts, and we're talking almost like close to $1 million dirhams. So we had to overturn all of that. So, and we also had a plan B, so we could have we had something to fall back on. So we said, let's just try this and see, and fulfill all our commitments and give it 1 year. And that's honestly what it was. It came down to the discussion came down to 1 year. Let's just see how this goes. The easiest option was to just sell off the company, and then but that's not the people that both Anish and I are. We're not people who will run away from responsibilities or commitments.
Such an inspiring story that was, wasn't it? What do you think must have been running in the mind of a 24-year-old at that time? Suddenly pushed into an ocean, asked to take care of a family business, not knowing where to start. Do I start with a $1 million dirham debt? Or do I start with the projects on hand? Do I start with not having enough employees? Or the fact that I was too young to be trusted by new clients? It's quite evident that Ankita and Anish have survived through all odds, tried to sustain their position in the market, and continue this legacy. This responsibility of taking forward the business was not given to them on a silver plate, but they have managed to find their own niche, and today they are very, very successful. If you are a budding entrepreneur, and if you have dreams of bringing up a business which is almost about to break down, then guys, you have something to learn from this sibling duo. Now that's the end of a serious segment 1, but a very inspiring one. Now it's time for the more fun part of our interview session and my celebrity guest's favorite part of the session, which is segment 2, Down the Memory Lane. Out of the 7 episodes that you have watched in Lighten Up with Leap series, 6 of them were with individual celebrity guests, and we had 2 of them and they were friends. But in today's episode, we have 2 of them who are siblings, and siblings make the most beautiful memories of childhood. I can't wait to see what these 2 have to share about their childhood. Let's dive straight into segment 2 to find out what beautiful memories they have.
Is this sweet little girl here?
Oh, that's me!
So, come on, Ankita, tell us about your childhood. How special is it to you?
I think I'll tie into that picture. So there are some things I don't change, and I loved being photographed even when I was like few months old, and I still love being photographed. Like anybody at any party or anywhere, like they want to photograph me, and I'm all ready, and I love to glam up and photograph, and I think that hasn't changed about me since childhood. I always loved dressing up, loved being in front of the camera. I was crazy glamour struck, and that hasn't changed even 35, 36 years down the lane. That hasn't changed.
So how were you, Anish? Were you camera conscious? Did you love the camera?
So I was growing up an extremely shy kid. So I was very, very introverted. I think, of course, when I say growing up, I mean like, post the age of 1, 2, 3, don't mean just doing whatever you're doing. But I think post that, I think once I started getting some semblance of an awareness, I think from that point, I was quite introverted. And I think it took me many, many, many years. I do remember one funny incident where, there was some family friends coming over. And Ankita, of course, was very extroverted. So we were very different that way. So I remember that day. So, mom, she comes into my room and she goes like, okay, she's like, this person's coming. I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I'm just going to sit in my room. You guys entertain them, do what you want. So my mom literally at that point was like, I'm going to pay you 100 dirhams if you come outside and just show your face. Just show your face. That's more than enough.
You got paid 100 dirhams just to show your face.
100, something like that. Yeah, just so that I could come and I could just say hi. And then after that, I think I went out, I said hi, and I took that guy and I came back into my room and I was like, okay, let's sit here and talk.
Okay, so you said 1, 2, 3 years, you were growing up and all that. So was this in those 1, 2, 3 years?
Yes.
This was for a fancy dress competition when he was a year old. And I was also part of this fancy dress. Anish does it, I'm sure he has no memory of this. So I was also part of, so we are about 4 years apart. So, so I was also participating in this competition. He was the youngest participant in that fancy. He was 1, and all the other participants were significantly older. I was 5, 6, and they were in a big group. And the requirements of the competition was that you had to walk up to the front stage and then walk towards the side. So I was so excited to be on stage. Again, that's another thing that hasn't changed. Like I just love being on stage. I love performing. I love being in front of people. So I walked in, I was so excited to see the people that I forgot to go to the front, and I went to the side and I went off. And with Anish, what happened is he saw my mom and my uncle. So he was so excited to see them. He ran to the front, and then they told him, now you go, you have to exit stage. So he actually won that competition. So
because he followed the rules.
So he won that competition.
Can you share with us one very interesting and intense fight that both of you had?
I don't know about interesting and intense, but I've heard stories, of course I don't remember this, where Ankita used to feed me, she used to make me eat mud.
Actually, Anish was my favorite toy when he was born, because I had dolls that were the same size as him.
But only one could talk.
Yeah, only one could react to me. So that was so exciting for me that whatever I eat, he has to eat the same thing. Yeah. So if I'm eating idli or I'm eating like rice or I'm eating chapati, I would go feed him, and he would be alone in a this thing somewhere, and in his cradle, and I would go and feed him, because I was like, oh, this doll is my favorite doll, it has to eat. Because with my other dolls, I used to take them, if I shower, they come to shower with me. So that was my routine. So I was like, this doll cannot come shower with me, so at least it can share my food. So that was my thinking.
But other dolls can't open the mouth to eat, but this doll...
Exactly. can open, right?
She's fed me like chalk. She's fed me like random things.
Random things. I was like, let's feed him mud, because my grandmother used to garden, so there was a lot of and we were in this when we were in Bombay, and we had like a lot of potted plants at home. And when it rains in Bombay, this beautiful smell of that mud, and that mud would be so attractive. True. I would go and dig my fingers into it, and I would want to like.
But tell me something. This doll is supposed to eat only what you eat, okay? But you fed him. You don't eat. How is that fair?
No, but I used to also eat that mud because that mud was so fragrant. Like I wanted to taste it and see what is this
she liked
amazing
it so much,
thing.
she'd eat it and then she'd feed me also.
Oh my god. And this is you with your favorite doll then?
Yes.
Was this the age when he was being fed mud and
No, he was newly born.
Oh my god. And really, after eating mud, also this newborn didn't have any health issues.
No, he just grew stronger. I built his immunity.
Every oh my god, Ankita, I just can't stop laughing.
Jurong Bird Park had a segment with chimpanzees, and we had to sit. My dad went and paid for a photograph with the chimpanzees for 3 hours. My mom, me, and my brother. We were both. My mom and I were so scared to sit next to him. We just put him because he was so small at that point. He didn't realize. We're like, just sit next to that monkey. He went and sat.
Anish, I feel so sorry for you. What all were you meant to do when you were a kid? Eat mud.
Look how strong he is. Look how
sit
strong
next to a chimpanzee.
For a picture.
I'm telling you, tougher than all this was still talking to people at that age. Tougher than all of this. That is why I was an introvert. That's why the story I remember the most. That was still the hardest thing.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, my cheeks really hurt. I've not laughed so much in a really long time, and these guys are so adorable. And imagine how cute these two would have been and what tough time they would have given their parents when they were kids. Someone who was such an introvert won all the competitions, and the other person wanted her little brother to be her most favorite toy, feeding him mud and chalk piece. Can you imagine that? Traveling with them through the childhood memories was so beautiful. Honestly, this has been the best Down the Memory Lane segment in the entire season. Like in all the 8 episodes that I've had so far, this has been the best episode of Down the Memory Lane. Now is the time for segment 3, the rapid fire round. We have to go straight into the round to see which one of the two won this round.
As always, following the trend, do you want to push Anish first for this?
So I feel like my best answers come when I'm more spontaneous as compared to being prepared.
Let's see. Anish, your first question. First celebrity crush.
Aishwarya Rai.
Ooh, okay. 3 people who have inspired you.
People have inspired me. I think definitely, I would say my uncle. He's been a huge source of inspiration. And recently, we have a couple of gurus, that we follow who are, our teachers, they're our guides, they're our mentors. They are everything, to be very honest. So, everything that the two of them have done for us, it's been, just so life-changing for us. So.
One talent you would like to inherit from your sister.
Her design skills.
Lovely. Okay, morning or night person?
I think I used to be a complete through and through night person. I wouldn't wake up before noon. I wouldn't sleep before 5 a.m. I think now I tend to wake up closer to like 6:30 now in the morning and then sleep about 10:30. So so more of a morning person now.
So next question, your 5th question. If you met your 15-year-old self now, what would you tell him?
There's a reason why everything happens. So just keep at it, keep going, and it's just find your own way.
Okay, perfect. Mountain or beach?
I think mountains more.
Okay, perfect. Question 8. What is one thing you would put on your bucket list?
Definitely be part of more meaningful projects and just in general help more people, be more helpful wherever we can.
Okay, fair enough. Question 9. One habit of yours that you would like to change?
Just be more disciplined, I guess. I think that's what it comes down to, right? Just be a little bit more.
Yeah.
Work on and keep up that discipline. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Last question. If you could trade lives with anyone for a day, who would it be?
I wouldn't say specifically one day. No, I don't have such fascinations.
Hey, okay, no problem. Yes, we're done. We're done with the 10 questions.
Thank
Yay,
you.
now you can chill.
Now,
Thank
yes.
you.
Come on, Ankita. I hope you're all
Yay,
okay.
all set.
Okay. Question number 1. First celebrity crush.
For me, it was Akshay Khanna. I had a crush on him for the longest time, like almost 8-9 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
3 people who have inspired you.
Same, apart from our spiritual teachers, who were 2 of them. Apart from that, I think definitely my uncle is somebody who also was, because he also shaped us in terms of upbringing.
And of course, our parents also. Yeah, just
Parents
have to
as well,
add
I
that. Very
know.
important. One
They
single
also-
or one person.
one
So
person.
we've learned a lot from each of them.
From each of
From
them.
very different things we've
ways,
learned from
yeah.
all of them, and we're very thankful that we had 3 parents.
And definitely as a woman, like I'm very inspired by my mom. I think there is a lot of
Yeah.
qualities in her that I've wanted to imbibe for a very long time, and I feel stunted at some point, is I feel I just can't go beyond that level.
One talent you would like to inherit from your brother.
His sense of logic is very strong. I think that's one quality of his that I'm trying to imbibe in myself
Okay.
as we speak.
Yeah. Okay. Question for morning or night person.
Morning. I'm not a night person at all.
Question number 5. If you met your 15-year-old self now, what would you tell?
But there's a world beyond school, because I was so absorbed in my school life.
Question 7. What would you do with your 15 minutes of fame?
What would I do with my 15?
Anish.
Yeah, you want to answer that?
Oh, that's a.
She skipped.
Oh, you missed that question for me.
Yeah, I missed that question.
Oh, what would I do with my 15 minutes of fame? Something on a broader perspective. I definitely feel it should be used for something good. It should be used for promoting some good causes. It should be used for doing good.
Yeah, I would say the similar thing. Right? If I had 15 minutes of fame, I'd definitely advocate people to be more, have a little bit more compassion, and work towards bettering the society around them.
I agree. I absolutely agree. Okay, question 8. What is one thing you would want to put on your bucket list?
I think I would want to be of a little bit more service to the world around me.
One habit of yours that you would like to change?
Nothing really, actually.
I don't think I'm going to expect I don't expect an answer. So, if you could trade lives with anyone for a day, who would it be?
Actually, I will give you an answer, because there is an architect called Zaha Hadid, and she's no more, but I love her work. So if there's any way I could trade lives with her, just to at least understand how she thinks to function like her.
Thank you, Ankita. You know what? I've been asking this question for almost 4-5 people now, and everybody is like, no, I don't want to trade my life with anybody. And I was literally going to throw away that question and see like, okay, no, I'm not expecting an answer from anybody for this question, but
yeah,
I think I should keep that question. I'll get
so
it.
does she win the rapid fire just because she answered?
Answer that question.
Yes,
Yes.
she does.
I figured so.
She wins it. No.
This is redemption for me after all the years of putting the effort and not winning.
I was just
I
going
should
to
also
say
fairly
that.
mad as a kid then. Maybe even I would have won an award.
No, I was just going to say that for all the fancy dress competition that she lost, for all the birthday parties that she lost, she wins this rapid.
This was the most important thing I was preparing for in so many years.
And especially, this is actually Women Achiever shows. She has to achieve.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
I'm very grateful. Thank you. That I got the opportunity to be here. In fact, when Ankita came up to me and she told me this also, I was like, what, Ankita, just do it.
You do it, yeah.
I'm so happy if you just take it up also. And if you really feel like it, you can just mention me, and that's more than enough. Like I'm completely okay with that. So I'm very happy she's won it. So
I'm very happy he came. Very happy we got to do this together.
Yeah.
I had to give this one to Ankita, guys. 1, because she's the woman achiever here, and 2, for all those competitions that she lost to Anish when she was a kid, she truly deserves to win this one. Well, I absolutely enjoyed having these two on my show, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this too. Oh, that reminds me, we're coming to the end of season 1 of Lighten Up with Leap. We have just 2 more episodes left. Please stay tuned, and some big surprise is coming in the grand finale episode for you guys. So until I see you next week with yet another interesting guest, this is Aishwarya saying bye bye.